July 11th, 2017 Board of Supervisors meeting to order, and we do have a quorum. We have Pastor Mike Ingo from Draper Valley Pentecostal Holiness Church here to do our invocation. Would everybody please stand and remain standing for the pledge.
Thank you guys for the invitation to do the invocation. Let us pray. Most gracious Heavenly Father, in the name of thy Son Jesus, we come this evening on behalf of these supervisors, asking now that you just bless them, the work that they do and their families. Now, Lord, we pray that you give them the wisdom and the knowledge that they need as they make the decisions for the people of Wythe County. Guide them, we pray. And Lord, we just give you the thanks for all that you're doing for us. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, welcome everyone. We'll move right along into our citizens' time, and Mr. Willis has the list. He will be calling your name. Please give your name and address when you come up to the podium to speak.
First name that's signed up to speak tonight is Cindy, and I will butcher some names tonight, so I will apologize up front. Cindy Privet? Privet. If that's the best I do tonight, it's a good night.
That's quite all right. I've already heard scripture quoted tonight, which makes me happy. I am Reverend Dr. Cindy Privet. I've been the pastor of Anchor of Hope in Galena for 14 years. Also a grad of University of Louisville, Master's in Education, Certification in Principalship, K through 12, Master of Divinity. I have served as a minister to families from cradle to grave. I have done a doctorate, and I specialized in grief. I want to speak to the situation that's happened with our sports children. I am here as an advocate for the children. Part of my calling is that I stand in the place of people who have no voice, and I am their voice. Speaking on behalf of them, I will pull no punches. I am asking for the dismissal of the person who is responsible for what has happened in the sports program that has broken trust and confidence in our children, and I will speak to that now. The first task that children learn is trust versus distrust. That means that they learn that if they have a need, that need will either be met or not met. If it's met, they grow trustful, they grow confident, they grow positive, and they grow happy. However, if that need is not met, they grow to be suspicious, cautious, cynical, and somewhat angry. If that level is not achieved, that trust versus distrust, it affects every relationship they have thereon. The age that this event has happened with these children could not be a worse age. They are 9, 10, and 11, and I say that because before that age, they are concrete thinkers. That means they only understand what you can see, feel, touch, hear, and taste. At the age of 9, 10, 11, they grow to understand concepts. They grow to understand themes. They understand ideas. They understand love. They understand hate. They understand right. They understand wrong. That is why our denomination and others call it the age of accountability. They know right from wrong. They are listening, they are hearing, and they are noticing justice, particularly what happens with them and those around them. If they experience a sense of unfairness in the world, they will suspect unfairness in the world. They will suspect unfairness in their government. The last thing that I would say to you is I know something about grief. These children, every single one of them, are experiencing grief. It is the loss of a dream. It is the loss of a goal. It is something they have been working on for hours and hours and days and days and nights and nights. I would really challenge this council to get into the mind of a child. There is a condition that we know to be brain bruising. Now, I know that might seem foreign to you, but it has to do with pathways in our brain. When part of that brain is hurt, it is bruised. Those pathways are familiar, so that there will be many times in these kids' life when they will experience triggers about this event, and it influences them, and there is no way back. They have lost their innocence in this. And I think it's a travesty, because they have expected this body, our body, me, you, everyone, to hand to them a structure that is dependable, fair, competent, and reliable. And they have not received that. Not only that, they feel as if they're being punished for it. And on top of that, no one else is. I would like to challenge you to think about our responsibility to these kids. They need to see justice. I do not know this individual. I do not know these individuals, but I speculate that our structure could do with a little more accountability and competency. Anybody who is working with kids should have basic course in child psychology, because that's where I picked this up. That's what I have used. I am very careful about the way I behave, what I say, what I do, because those children will remember that for the rest of their lives. That is all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Prevett.
Matthew Porter.
I'm Matt Porter, 185 Airhead Lane, and Steve knows why I'm here. I want to get a resolution for my ambulance company. Y'all sent a board letter to the people asking for it, and they didn't approve it. It says their policy has to have it in the form of a resolution, so that's why I'm here.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, y'all remember last meeting, y'all did vote on that. I have handed out a copy of the resolution and would request that be considered during old business to be taken up.
Okay, we'll take it up in our old business when it comes up.
Thank you.
Jacob Underwood.
My name is Jacob Underwood, 876 Breaker Road. Okay, first of all, not sure how to formally address you, so if I do something wrong, this is just from my heart, okay?
Just speak.
Okay. My name is Jacob Underwood. I'm currently a student at Bluefield College. I'm a double major, psychology and sports management. When I was younger, I went to Speedwell Elementary School. I always loved sports. It's my favorite thing to do. I remember when I was just in the 3rd grade, okay, the first age you get into competitive sports. Scott, I don't know if you can say it, Scotty Vault came up to me and he congratulated me on my passing. That may not seem like a big deal to you guys, okay? It's one compliment. But I ran to my parents and I told them, the main guy, the leader, told me that I was good. And that meant a lot to me. And I've heard him tell other kids that. He takes the time to learn every kid's name in the program. I'm an umpire for him. He goes beyond what is called from him. Me and him started that bond in the 3rd grade. All the way until I graduated high school, he kept in touch with me. And he was just a stranger before that. We weren't related. There wasn't anything drawing us together. When I became an umpire for Scotty, he told me that if I ever needed anything from him, that he would be there. I'm not sure if you guys have ever been to a youth league baseball game, youth league softball game. The parents, they're ruthless, okay? I've had parents want to kill me, okay? I've been threatened by parents before, and other parents don't have my back, but Scotty Vault had my back in that situation. He went up to the parent, he respectfully addressed them in the way that was needed to protect me as an umpire, the kids. He's a mentor to these kids. I wish you guys could take time to see some of the kids that come up and talk to him in the press box in between games. They come up, Scotty will high-five them, talk to them about their game. He could tell you anything about these kids. During the season when it got into the tournament time, Adria Park, as we know, it rains and Adria Park gets destroyed. Okay, with plenty of the vent systems, but it's still rough. Scotty would get there 6, 7 hours early, and I'd go help him up at the field. And we would make the field get in pristine condition for the kids. In baseball, the field gets ruined 3 plays later, but I mean, he put in so much work. Scotty's put in 23 years of service. Takes time to learn all the kids' names. He's synonymous with the youth league. When I came into the youth league, Scotty Vaught, main guy, nice guy. I assume all of you have talked to him. I personally believe in my heart that he is a very good guy. I came up from being an 8-year-old stranger to building a lifelong friendship with him. Scotty has taught me to be a better athlete, umpire, but also an even better person. I always respect, honor, and I honestly love the man. My hope is that there will be reconsideration. The kids need Scotty, and every kid needs someone who cares as much as him. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Michael Jackson.
My name is Michael Jackson. My address is 400 South 8th Street in Wytheville. And I'm here to speak on behalf of Scotty Vaught. I've known Scotty my whole life. When I played rec league sports, Scotty was always at the field helping coaches, doing, whatever Scotty does at the games. He's a great guy. He's a stand-up guy. He's a trustworthy guy. And I believe you're making a huge mistake by not supporting him in this situation. Mistakes were probably made. I don't think there's anybody in this room that can say they've never made a mistake at work. I don't think every mistake should be, you should be terminated over every mistake. I don't think you're going to find another guy like Scotty. There's certain people in this town, Dickie Boyles, Kenny Sayers. I think Scotty's cut from that same cloth, and I think you're making a huge mistake if you don't approach him and try to fix this situation. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you.
Nikki Vaught.
Mr. Bear, and to you, Mr. Reese. What I've handed you is 21 hours of social media posts in support, depression, denial from the people of the county after hearing of Scotty's resignation. I am Nikki Vaught. I'm here on behalf of my husband, Scotty Vaught. As you may or may not know, as of 8:15 Monday morning, after countless sleepless nights and anxiety-ridden days, Scotty resigned his position as youth sports coordinator. During the weeks leading up to the decision, he made a call to let 2 12-year-old girls in the Max Meadows area play down an age group in order to allow them to play at all. As there was not enough in their age group, if he had not made that decision, those 2 girls would not have played at all. This, by no means, is a reason to lose trust of a 22-plus year employee. Numerous meetings were had with Mr. Bear, Mr. Williams, as well as Scotty discussing the issue, which he admitted to the decision in the first meeting. Still yet, in following meetings, Mr. Bear told Scotty that he had brought a black cloud over the department and that he wasn't sure he could be trusted. Mind you, after 22 and a half years. I apologize for the emotion. Also, keeping in mind, during this time, Scotty was hosting 2 coinciding baseball tournaments, which led him to work 100-plus hours in 9 days, with absolutely no help from Mr. Williams, who is the director of the recreation department. In fact, Mr. Williams was never seen, never stepped foot at Adria Park, where the tournaments were held. And as I noticed, not here today as well. Scotty has been looked over twice for the position that Mr. Williams currently holds. When a parent called to ask him a rule, he had to call Scotty to get that said rule. Shouldn't it be the other way around? I've held many management positions as well as being a business owner, and I would hate to think that those that I am managing have more knowledge than I do of my position and what it entails. In fact, I would almost guarantee that if you asked around the room, the people in attendance today, the majority either wouldn't recognize him or have just heard his name for the first time tonight. That is where my lack of trust would lie, not in a 22-and-a-half-year vested employee. In closing, all I ask is the consideration of reconnecting with Scotty and hashing out the miscommunication and let the kids of the county, which is top priority, have the opportunity that thousands of others throughout his 22 years have had and get to prosper from learning and having the guidance of Scotty, as you've heard from children that have come up before. I can assure you, and I feel you will hear from others and probably have throughout the day today, that his good much outweighs a few minor bads. I thank you for your time and consideration in this matter.
Thank you, Ms. Vaught.
Mr. Trey Smith?
Good evening, council. Trey Smith, 375 South 7th Street, Wythe, Virginia. So I'm here again today to support Scotty Vault. Scotty Vault has had an impact in my life. He really has. I graduated from Concord University, education major, started out, finished with a business management degree and a communications degree. Currently work at ABB in Bland in the sales engineering department. So with that being said, I support Scotty for what he does. I currently work for Scotty and work for Wythe County as an umpire. Not only am I an umpire, I'm also a role model to these kids. He brought me on board as someone who's played collegiate athletics, the opportunity to play professional athletics and independent baseball, and having the strong roots from my grandfather is just like Scotty Vault. Some of you, I've never really seen you around the recreation. I'm there. We do sometimes 6 to 8 games a week. I've never seen anyone there. I think I've seen you there once. But with that being said, we talk about our current society in sports and how it ties people together and how we're building strong kids, smart kids. If it wasn't for sports, I wouldn't have got my education. So we really need to think about what type of person he was, what impact he's having on kids, and one mistake, right? So for 450 kids that may have went on to go to college, may have made an impact in our positive community for Wythe County, right? For those kids, Scotty could have impacted most of them, if not all of them. I know me and my brother are prime examples of sports being a breakthrough to be successful. So therefore, I just want to make people aware of the situation within my community in Wytheville. I feel he runs Wythe County better than Wytheville's run, and it's looked at as a top-notch program. And I'm directly involved with both of them. So I'm just here to support him. Kids need the right to play sports. Kids need the right to have good officials. Parents want good officials. And Scotty does everything he can to do that, regardless if he's made a mistake. Because most important, if a kid wants to play sports, a kid should be able to play sports, regardless. We shouldn't shut a team down just because they don't have enough players. And if the county needs to fund that in a better way to get them some help, then that's what we want to do. If you can't support one of your colleagues in a situation where he doesn't have enough budget to get more personnel, then that's a problem. So therefore, if you got more people working for the kids, then maybe more kids will play, right? So that's why we come back to the situation. But I won't be long. I just thank you for your time and consideration, but really think about this decision you're making because it can impact everyone in this room. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Jessica Collier?
My name is Jessica Collier. I live at 149 Carter's Park Lane in Max Meadows, and I'm just kind of winging it here, so bear with me. But I'm here to show support for Scotty Vault as well. I have worked with Scotty back through the spring trying to establish a baseball team through Sheffey Elementary School. There were lots of issues and confusion back and forth of whether we had enough people to play or not, but we had a group of boys who desperately wanted to play baseball and nowhere to go. Scotty Vault stayed in contact with me for weeks while we tried to figure out a way to get these boys on a team and let them play. Working with Kevin Williams every step of the way. And at the end of it all, we had a baseball team. The boys that wanted to play got to play. We had 12 players. I know that we've had issues throughout the spring sports season with the softball team at Max Meadows. One of the girls who was allowed to play down and then got disqualified later is my niece, so I've got personal ties to that as well. And then we had the issue with the baseball team, the boys' baseball team, who got disqualified in Carroll County. But through it all, and me personally, my working with Scotty Vault every time there's a decision that needed to be made, he always said to us, well, let me run it by Kevin, and I'll call you back. And he did. Either that, or he would put me on speakerphone and bring Kevin in the office before decisions were made, anything was discussed, everything was run through Kevin. Our baseball team needed a field to practice on, so we wound up practicing at a church's baseball field. Scotty went out of his way to run it through Kevin and get approval for us to use a pitcher's mound from Ager Park so that we could have adequate equipment just to practice on so we could play. But my point of it all is he goes out of his way to help these children and to make sure that all of the children get to play. Sometimes, yeah, the rules might be bent a little bit so that the kids get to play, but we're talking elementary school sports. I guarantee you at none of these games were any college scouts looking for kids. I guarantee it. So I think the root of the problem is the parents need to get back to understanding that this is for the kids and it's not for the parents to live through the kids. But as far as the county goes, I think you guys need to understand what a tremendous asset you are losing if you don't go back and try to fix things with Scotty Vault. There is a problem in the Parks and Rec Department, and it does need to be addressed. But Scotty Vault's the bottom of the totem pole. He gets his orders from higher on up. And I think if you want to fix the problems, you need to go on up to the people who are giving him approval and giving him the orders, like Kevin Williams or Stephen Bear or whoever gives him the authorization to make the decisions he makes before you start eliminating everybody. Because if you just get rid of the bottom man and you keep the top ones who make the decisions, you're going to wind up with the same issue over and over, and our kids are going to be the ones who ultimately pay the price. And that's all I've got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Timothy Jones.
Good day. My name is Timothy Michael Jones. I live at 2050 West Ridge Road in Wytheville, Virginia. I'm here on behalf of Scotty Vault. I'm not here to be ill-willed at either side. I just can only attest to the character and person that he is and the things that I've seen him do all my life. He has not only helped me, but he has helped many youth in this county and in this town. I've seen him get money out of his own pocket to buy kids that were less fortunate so they could have something to eat at a local football game on Friday night. Not many people do that. And all I can say is I can, without a doubt, say that any decision that he would ever make would never hurt a child purposefully. We all make mistakes. We all have shortcomings. There's only been one perfect person on this planet, and they crucified him. And I think you all would be making a grave mistake if you let this man leave this organization, because he does a fabulous job, and he is a loved individual in Wythe County. Everybody makes mistakes. I make them every day. I ask for forgiveness every Sunday morning. So I just ask you to reconsider and maybe make some contact and fix this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jacob Porter.
Thank you for speaking with me again, gentlemen. Jacob Porter, 7692 Peppers Ferry. I wanted to come back and talk to you again about Wythe County Parks and Rec. And again, you know, I was here on June 30 and spoke with you about the situation. And at that time, I told you that I was going to Carroll County too. And last night I went to Carroll County. Carroll was not nearly as receptive and didn't seem to take myself seriously, or Mr. Damon back there who went with me, and I asked several questions in a line about the things that happened that night. Now, after that June 30 meeting, Mr. Bear had called me to follow up, and I thank him for that call to follow up, and he assured me that many changes would be made, but I didn't get what those changes are. And I think one of the changes that we would ask for would be that maybe some pressure be put on Carroll County to make changes as well, because they are at the root of this. And the questions that I asked, and I attempted to get Mr. Williams to contact me via phone. He declined to talk to me via phone, telling me that he had gotten all the information he needed via text from the head coach, Wes Billings. So the questions that I brought up have never been on an official level taken up with Carroll County, and I think that's something that we might want to look at considering doing. The other changes that I do think that we ought to look at making as well is we need out of the Southwest Virginia Youth Baseball League. Carroll County attempts, it would appear, to run it as though it is the Carroll County Youth Baseball League, but if you do an internet search for the Southwest Virginia Youth Baseball League, they don't have a website. They have nothing but instructions that you can download of the rules from different county websites. Even Al-Qaeda has a website. They managed to upload YouTube videos from caves in Afghanistan, but we can't have a website where parents can go. There's no structure, and after a conversation with a member of the Youth Dixie League for baseball last night, youth baseball, I think that's the direction we need to go, and that's one of the changes we need to see. So I would ask you, gentlemen, to look at talking to Parks and Rec, and let's push for some more changes, because I can get guarantees of all kinds of positive changes, but until I see something that tells me the changes are being made, it's just hollow promises and words. So that's basically it. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Porter.
Mr. Damon Alley.
Thank you, guys. I'm just going to follow up a little bit more with what Jacob just had to say. Like I said, me and him did go to Carroll County last night. Some of the things that bothered me with this whole situation was the lack of support that we felt like we was getting as a baseball team. I heard a lot of people talk about choosing sides. Max Meadows never, they never pointed fingers per se. They wanted a problem, this problem fixed for these kids. That was our goal, is to get something resolved for these kids to right the wrong and to keep it from happening again. The biggest problem that I had with the Carroll County meeting last night was Mr. Truitt sat there and told me that it was a separate tournament that we was playing in Carroll County. It had a separate set of rules, and had our rec department followed up on that, they would have known that those rules was given out on the 29th and that we were disqualified on the 28th. So things like that. Everything that we went through last night with the rec department or the board up there, and speak with Mr. Truitt, everything, I hate to say it, but everything in the world points to we were set up before we even got there. Meant how does the rules for a tournament go out the day after a disqualification of the tournament? And I mean, everything looked like a cover-up. So. Like I said, we want to do everything in our power to make sure that this don't happen for these kids again. So, thank you guys.
Mr. Bill Smith.
Mr. Smith.
Mr. Bill.
Oh, no, I meant to check no. I'll put it.
Okay.
Mr. Preston Pruitt.
Good evening. My name is Preston Pruitt, 335 Lakeview Drive, Wythe, Virginia. I recognize some faces. I'm not here to make anybody mad. I'm on here on behalf of Scotty Vault. Being in sports and education behind my father for 40-plus years in this community, I see what he had an impact on, and Scotty Vault does the same thing. Every kid that has been around Scotty Vault loves Scotty Vault. I love Scotty Vault like a brother. I've known him for 35 years or more. Like everybody else has said, it's a mistake to let something like that happen over a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. I'm sure every one of y'all made a mistake today. Being up here looking at y'all, it's kind of intimidating, but I don't know how y'all would feel if y'all were Scotty Vault in a gym full of parents screaming at the top of their lungs at officials or at Scotty or at a coach. And like she said, there's no college scouts there. There's no pro scouts there. Some of these parents have got to realize that it's for the kids to grow as people, men, women, and grow into the knowledge of sports. It's not just about one game, a baseball game that has happened. I don't know what happened. I have no clue what's going on. But letting that man go is going to be a mistake in this county. I don't know what the plan is. I really don't. That's about all I can say, but like I said, as these other people have said, these kids love him. I'm like Timmy. He's pulled out money several times in front of me and given to somebody else for they go get them something to eat. And I've also been around when he has told someone, no, I'm sorry, your kid's going to turn 9 years old a week late. I'm sorry, he can't play in this league. I've been there countless times when he told people that. So one mistake or two mistakes or whatever has happened shouldn't justify letting somebody go. It's been y'all's backbone in the sports program for 20-some years. He's the only one there 90% of the time, unless it's his wife Nikki there or me as an official. I've been there with him in basketball games for 10-plus years. And there's a couple other in here that have been there with him as well. And I have never, Stephen, I might have seen you a couple. But the lack of support he gets is crazy. I've seen Kevin maybe twice. Scotty's there, time start till it finishes each event that goes on. Carrying the bags, pulling the rake, driving the mower, I mean, whatever it takes, he's doing it. Driving us down the road. So, you know, if y'all got somebody in mind that can do better than that, then good luck with that. But letting him go is going to be a mistake. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Pruitt.
That's all that have signed up, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, during citizens' time, everybody that's signed up. Was anybody else would like to speak during citizens' time? Larry, come on up.
My name's Larry Edwards. I'm the Secretary Treasurer of G&E Enterprises. Mr. Robert Melton is the 50% partner. We've had a number of issues with a project at 4909 Fort Chiswell Road. That's the old Pure Country building. We were approached by a realtor in October of 2015 to ask us to purchase that and see if we couldn't get it back in operation. We purchased that. And in November, after looking at it, basically we had concrete walls standing there is what was left. All of it was consumed by the fire. It had a crawl space in it about 4 feet, which was full of water and debris. We felt like we were at extreme risk for liability, so we talked with Tim Spraker, the building official. I applied for a permit on November 18th. And I'll provide the chairman copies of the written information. I applied for that permit a few days before November 18th. We proceeded to fill in that crawl space with stone from the Crowder quarry. On November 18th, Mr. Spraker issued a stop work order, which essentially said, it's new construction. You have placed stone inside the remaining walls and foundation. This counts as new construction, which we did not agree with. My knowledge of filling in a hole with stone, no one has been able to prove to me that that's a violation of the Uniform Building Code. I could be proven wrong. That was the first issue. Here's a copy of the sheet that Mr. Spraker gave for requirements. At the top, you'll notice they've written in Pure Country. And the second is approves the erosion and sediment control permit or signed a agreement in lieu of plan for 10,000 feet or less. And that site is less than 10,000 feet. Second one is an entrance permit for Virginia Department of Highways and Transportation for any new entrance. And I think the plan will show, and your documents from your water and sewer line shows that there are existing entrances, have been used since 1940. That will become an issue at a later date, which is essentially the reason he says he will not issue a permit, because we don't have that. In order to try to facilitate that as much as possible, our legal counsel tells us, and I will give you a copy of the VDOT specs, which you can inspect at their website. And I will quote just a little of it very quickly. Let's try to move along as much as possible. What's the application to existing entrances? The regulations and standards will not apply to existing entrances where there is no change in land use as long as the existing entrance are maintained in a good, safe condition. We have an existing entrance. There is no change of use. It was previously used as a C-store and a restaurant and a beauty shop. Our permit is doing away with the beauty shop. We will not have that. We would have a restaurant and a C-store. We do have tenants that we expect to lease. We don't plan on operating that. That's a rental property. That said, the entrance permits are not guaranteed for eternal. However, there are three key questions used to determine if a permit is needed to be used. Will the use of the property change such that there's a significant increase in the trip generation of the property? If it's being used for the same purpose it was before, there's an existing entrance, then the answer to that is no. Number two, will there be a change in the type of vehicles that will access the site? I would say no. We're not turning it into a truck stop. If you were going from single cars to a truck stop, then obviously that would be. Is the existing entrance design or location unsafe to the public? Have no notification that that's the case. Your contractors have parked on it, used it. VDOT had a vehicle parked on it over the weekend. School buses turn in it. VDOT has not told us that there's any unsafe conditions. There may need to be some modifications, and we did meet with VDOT upon approval. We met with Ms. Juanita Wells and Ms. Pam Heath. Subsequently, he requested a water and sewer or septic and a well certification. There's existing well and existing septic system on the site. We provided that, and in September of 2016, we proceeded to dig the lines to reconnect the building to the existing sewer and the existing well. And on September 14th, he issued a stop work order. And after a meeting with Mr. Dalton and him and the others, he lifted that for no reason. So either it was incorrectly, it was put in place illegally, or he didn't state the reason for lifting it. And we did. And I'll read it to you. This stop work order issued September 14th on the property 4909 has been removed. Please cover the trenching and implement best management practices. My statement would be if it was wrong, there should have been some remediation. In the first part of June, we submitted the final plan for the upfit on the interior, paid for the fees. That was basically on May 12th. You'll have a copy of that. Paid $987 for review of the plans, and the I stand corrected. We paid $538 for the permit. We paid $430 for plan review. Signed the land disturbance agreement. On June 21st, I received an email from Rhonda Vaught that they had not received any documents. We resent the original email. I don't know what kind of bookkeeping they have, but we resent what we originally did, and there's photocopies in here. On July 6th, I filed an appeal with Tim Spraker for the actions that he had taken to present to the review board. I received a response from him asking what he was appealing, or what we were appealing. I'm repealing his non-decision. I don't know what other information you can supply. Mr. Farthing responded to me today that he would check into it further. Of course, we will have an issue with Mr. Farthing since he represented Mr. Melton on a number of cases, and in our opinion, that's a conflict of interest. Paid a $1,000 fee for a water hookup approximately a year ago and asked for that to be completed, and it still hasn't been done. Basically, I feel like we're being discriminated against. We're being delayed. You know, I work with a lot of building inspectors. In fact, we're working with several at the moment. So I have some experience. All we want is a little bit of cooperation. If we're required to have the VDOT permit, which my legal counsel says we do not because we have an existing entrance, that can be remediated. He has the ability to withhold final inspection. He's visited our employees a couple of times. In fact, I just received a call 2 hours ago from the electrical contractor. I think the interaction should be between us as the owners and the permit specialists, not between our employees. I just wanted to make you aware of that situation. We'd like to work through it, move on, develop the property, bring in some tax revenue, and move on. We do have other avenues, and we will pursue those if we can't. We have about $250,000 invested, and we'll invest another $250,000 to $500,000, and obviously we're going to protect that with whatever avenue we need. And I don't think I'll need to say more, but we're prepared to go the distance. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Mr. Edwards.
Mr. Baer sent an email, I think yesterday, to VDOT. I don't know whether he got a response or not. In a lot of cases, I don't have a response. They work at their own schedule. I have had some experience with this situation in the Midway Shell station in Carroll County. We had almost an exact case that was litigated in the Carroll County courts. We prevailed in that case. If you have any questions, I can answer them. We're going to be Mr. Milton if he would like to say anything. Or
Mr. Edwards, I know I don't want to hash this out here. Is it possible you could meet with me and Mr. Baer Thursday morning?
Yes.
8 o'clock, Mr. Baer?
Yeah, I've got to be wrapped up by 9 o'clock. I have another meeting.
I think possibly. My mother had a serious fall and got out of the hospital yesterday. And if under normal circumstances, if nothing transpires, she's 95, my dad's 98. I feel like my first obligation is to them, but as far as I know, my schedule would allow that. If not, we would reschedule.
Would you get in touch with Mr. Baer tomorrow and anytime Thursday that we can meet and take care of this problem?
Okay. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your cooperation.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Would anybody else like to speak during citizens' time?
My name's Bob Atwell Jr. I live here in town at 735 Mountain View Drive, and I just want to echo the sentiments of the people we've heard before me in support of Scotty Vault. My wife and I have 2 children. They're both successful college athletes. They grew up in Scotty's we feel like Scotty's program. He's supported our children, given great joy to our children and our family, and I want to keep this brief. I just want to say that I hope things can be worked out. I don't know what happened, but I hope things can be worked out and it can continue to enrich the lives of all of our children and our people here in Wythe. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, before I close citizens' time, is anyone else would like to speak during citizens' time?
I have a message from Kenny Sayers that he couldn't be here. Can I read that to you all?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm unable to be here tonight because of some back problems, but I would like to say a few words on Scotty's behalf. I have known Scotty since he was in grade school. For the last 20-some years, I've watched him dedicate his life to the youth of Wythe County. You don't have much of a life doing this job. I know I did it for 35 years. You're working when everyone else is working and when everyone else is off. It's a 6 to 7 day a week job. You have to love it. You have to love it to do it. I've worked with Scotty a lot, and his heart is with the kids. What we do is not always perfect to some of the outsiders, but it's always what we think is best for the kids. I think someone needs to step up and get Scotty back doing what he does best. Tell me, who are you going to get to do the job he does? No one. I can't think of another person who could do it. He knows all the people and they all respect him. That's the key. People think this job is easy. Go with him one of his 12-hour days and see just what he has to do. If you do, you will realize what you better find a way to keep this guy. Let's remember that our youth should always come first, and you have your guy that lives that phrase. Thank you, Kenny Sayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Baldwin. Hearing no one else, I'll close citizens' time. We'll move on into our agenda. We have the minutes of the previous meeting, June the 30th, 2017. I entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the June 30th minutes. Any correction or changes need to be made to the minutes? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
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 The chair votes aye. Next item is payment of invoices. Entertain a motion to pay the invoices.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second to pay the invoices. Is there any invoice any board member would like to discuss or pull out? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
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 And the chair votes aye. Next item on the agenda is the public hearing on the proposed bonds for Raper Ridge project, and I'll read the notice. Notice is given that the Board of Supervisors of Wythe County, Virginia, the board, will hold a public hearing on the proposed issuance of bonds at one time or from time to time by Wythe County. The estimated maximum aggregate amount of the bonds is $1,252,000. The general purpose for which the bonds are to be issued and the purpose used of the proceeds of such bonds are: A, to finance the cost of a new water storage tank for which used more than 10% of the total bond proceeds are expected to be used, and B, to pay the cost of issuing the bonds. The public hearing, which may be continued or adjourned, at which persons may appear and present their views on the proposed bond issue, will be held at 7:05 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard on July the 11th, 2017, before the Board of Supervisors in the boardroom of the County Administration Building located at 340 South 6th Street, Wythe, Virginia, by orders of the Wythe County Board of Supervisors. Mr. Byer, you want to summarize?
Yes, what you have before you is what you just read, the issuance of bond. This is for a water tank to be located upon county property down on Raper Ridge for the benefit of the New River Regional Water Authority, which provides water service to Wythe County, Carroll County, and the town of Wytheville. Since the county is the owner of the property and the county is the owner of the previous bond on the initial tank in line there, the county will be taking out the bond on this. However, the debt service on this will be repaid by the New River Regional Water Authority.
Okay, I'll open I didn't have anybody sign up to speak on this, but I will give anybody in the room a chance to speak. of the bond issue. The floor is now open. Would anybody would like to speak during the public hearing? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Next, we have a public hearing in compliance with the Code of Virginia and amendment thereto. The Wythe County Board of Supervisors will conduct a public hearing to consider an ordinance entitled Wythe County Ordinance Granting Partial Exemption for Real Estate Taxation for certain rehabilitated commercial and industrial real estate. The Board of Supervisors will hear comments from citizens concerning this proposed ordinance. The public hearing will be held on Tuesday, July the 11th, 2017 at 7:10 p.m. in the boardroom of the Wythe County Office Building, 340 South 6th Street, Wytheville, Virginia. A copy of the proposed ordinance is on file for public review in the County Administration Office located at 340 South 6th Street, Wytheville, Virginia, or online at www.wytheco.org. Mr. Barr, you want to summarize before we open?
Mr. Chairman, I will. What you have is a proposed ordinance. We did receive a request from the Town Council of Wytheville to consider adopting an ordinance similar in structure to the ordinance that they have to provide an incentive for businesses located within an enterprise zone in Wythe County that have structures that are no less than 40 years old, improved so that the increase in assessed value structure is no less than 30% without increasing the total square footage of the structure by more than 15%. Basically, what this ordinance does is if you have a building that meets the age time frame and you are proposing to improve that building and redo it, the improvements that you make will be allowed to have a rebate or refund on the real estate tax on the improved value. And I'll use an example for you. If you have $1 million building out there, current taxes you're paying on are $4,900 a year. If it's in the enterprise zone, it's over 40 years old, and you come in, you rehabilitate it, and you add $1 million worth of value as assessed by the Commission of Revenue, it's now worth $2 million. You would still pay the $4,900 on the original $1 million of assessed value. On the $1 million that has been improved, the first year you would receive a discount on that tax amount of 100%. So you would not pay that $4,900. That would be the rebate. The next year that amount decreases to 80%. The next year 60%. After 5 years, you would be paying full tax value on the building. It is meant as an incentive to provide those that have older buildings to rehabilitate them and add value to the tax rolls.
Okay, now I open the floor now up for public hearing. I have one individual that's signed up, Councilman Hunley. Good to see you again.
Chairman Reeves, honorable supervisors, I'll come in peace, I'll tell you that first. I just want to thank you guys for considering this ordinance and just let you know what an integral part this is of our downtown renovations. As you know, I've been passionate about this. I aggravated Mr. Dalton, I think from 2010, Mr. Bear, I've probably aggravated you, and Tim, I've harassed you as well. So I just encourage you to please adopt this ordinance. I think it is good not only for our downtown, but also for the full enterprise zone. So if you have any questions for me, I come on my own accord. No one from town council knew I was coming, so just want to let you know that it is important and we would love to see it adopted.
Well, thank you, Councilman Hunter.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you for all the work you're doing on
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a good night.
Okay, is anyone else would like to speak on the public hearing? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to. I'm Mike Reardon. I live in Roy Retreat. Been kind of reviewing over this ordinance, and I've got a bit of an issue with it. I like the intent of it. I just think it's kind of unfair. Why does a business have to be in an enterprise zone to enjoy this? Some farmer wants to expand his equipment shed or milk barn, or I think of like here in Wytheville, it's considered in an enterprise zone. Food line out on East End, that building, whoever owns it could prove it. It's more than 40 years old. Little grocery store that's down at the four-way between Wytheville and Speedwell, they want to improve it, they don't get the benefit of this. So seems like to me it's kind of the government's picking winners and losers here. So that's my view of it. Thank you.
Mr. Reardon. Anyone else would like to speak? Yes, Mr. Smith. You did sign up for something.
I was reneging on my reneging to speak. I didn't come to speak, but I would like to address this, the ordinance of the enterprise zone tax rebate or tax freezing. I call it the tax freeze. As I understand it, we're talking about freezing the tax on the improvement that is greater than 30%. So just a reminder to folks, it's not taking from the current tax revenue base. It is new money that may not be there if the incentive were not there to help someone afford the renovation. There's a good point about, I guess, fairness or the broad stroke or lack of a broad stroke of this ordinance, and I'm not sure, but it may be required that this type of incentive be included in an enterprise zone or a certain type of structure. I'm not certain about that. Mr. Barrett can check that out, but I know in the town it was, we extended the enterprise zone so that certain incentives, or the county allowed the enterprise zone to be extended into a portion of the town that needed some help, and that was how these incentives came about. But also to say that it is broader than the town if this passes. I guess it goes into Progress Park and to maybe Fairview and some at least some areas outside the town limit. Is that correct?
Yeah, we got several enterprise zones in the county.
Well, I can tell you it's an important part of the whole financial picture. The town freezing is very good, and we appreciate that. But the amounts of money you're dealing with is a lot different. There's a much larger incentive and much more help on the county's tax side than it is on the town. So I think it's important, and it certainly has helped the areas that have it. So I encourage you to.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Anyone else would like to speak? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing, and we'll be discussing comments at a later date, and probably we'll bring up the ordinance at the next meeting. Under old business, we have a resolution in front of you, Resolution 2017-15. This is, I know we've talked about this, and Quality Care Ambulance Service. Entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2017-15. Is there any comments or questions?
I'm assuming after you checked that they were required to have this.
The regulations, the people overseeing it are requiring a resolution. They said the letter was fine, but it had to be in a resolution.
Okay.
Any more questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Forney?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye. And the chair votes aye. Resolution passes 7-0.
Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Yes.
One thing before we move on, the proposed issuance of bonds on the Raper Ridge project. would request that you all adopt the resolution associated with it, unless you would like to hold off on doing so until the next meeting.
Mr. Chairman, if it's appropriate, I'll make the motion that we adopt that, because, again, debt service will be paid by New River Regional Water Authority, so that we get it started.
I'll second.
Have a motion and second, and resolution number what?
I don't know if it
It's
has.
a resolution authorizing the issuance of sale of general obligation and water revenue bonds of Wythe County not to exceed $1,252,000.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or comments? Hear none, we'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
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 And the chair votes aye. Mr. Burrs, anything else in our old
Yes,
business?
Mr. Chairman, if I might, in front of you is a memorandum of understanding between Bland, Virginia, Wynn County, and Wythe County for the regional 911 call handling equipment. You'll remember the committee had recommended this at the last meeting, and I requested that it be taken off for some change in some values. Those numbers have been revised and revised favorably, in my opinion, and would recommend the approval of this agreement.
I entertain a motion to accept the county staff's recommendation.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion that we accept this memorandum of understanding for the regional shared 911 call handling equipment.
Have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions?
I have one question. Mr. Barrett, does this impact in any way our improvement of the tower service and plans? This is all about operating equipment?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And it's a disbursement of the regional grant between the three entities and how the funding is dispersed between all of them. Yes, sir.
Any more questions? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
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 The chair votes aye. Anything else under old business?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman, there's none.
We'll move into new business, Economic Development Committee report.
Economic Development Committee met on July the 6th and following recommendations to accept a B&M recycling bid for hay harvesting and removal on Lot 24, Kent's Lane, and the Cedar landfill. This is a pay to the county. We're not paying them to collect the hay. So they had the best price, so we accepted the higher of the prices. So recommended by the committee.
Okay, come from committee, it doesn't need a second. Is there any questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
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 The chair votes aye. Next item.
Next item is to adopt resolution 2017-17, authorizing grant application to the Tobacco Region Revitalization Commission for the Apex Construction Funds.
Okay.
So recommended.
And then come from committee, it doesn't need a second. Is there any question or discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
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 And I'm going to surprise you. If we get money, I'm going to vote aye.
And the chair votes aye.
This is a big one.
I wanted to let you all know what was coming.
Oh, okay. Anything else from the Economic Development Committee?
That's it this time.
Okay, next is the Building and Grounds Committee report.
Building and Grounds has two items. Item one, authorize the Sheriff's Office the use of the property located 2875 Peppers Ferry Road as a training facility. No increase in cost. The buildings will be utilized as training for officers entering a building, as commonly known as the Judge Roundhouse, and so recommended by committee.
Okay, come from committee, it doesn't need a second. Any more questions?
Now, that in no way is connected to the Historical Society,
They're just
that
using it
site.
for entrance practice, clearing the house.
Okay.
Any more questions? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Anything else from the building? and
Item
grounds
two, to reject all bids received for the county office building addition due to all the bids come in over budget. We don't feel like that there's any resolution with negotiations, so reject all bids. If you want, I can give you the bottom line of what the bids were. So recommend by the committee.
Okay, coming from the committee, it doesn't need a second. All in favor of rejecting the bid, say aye. Aye. Opposed? So rejected. Okay, is anything else from the Building and Grounds Committee?
That's all from Building and Grounds Committee.
Okay. Burn Spring Phase 2 and Phase 3 construction to amendment to engineering service agreement. Mr. Bear?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, what you have is back in March of 2017, you all approved an amendment with Pete and Boyce for the engineering agreement in the amount of $24,000. That was, and what was going to take, anticipated on funds left for the amount of line that we would be running. As it ended up, funds that were remaining did not provide us enough to run the line as far as anticipated. So after USDA reviewed it and where we were going, the change order amount has been reduced to $14,560. So it's a deduction from what was previously approved. I just wanted to bring it to you all to get your all's approval just for the record and sign this and get a revised amount with Pete and Boyce.
I entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any questions for Mr. Bear? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
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 And the chair votes aye. Next item is Resolution 2017-16, Volunteer Fire and Rescue Workers Compensation Coverage. Mr. Bear?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This, as you know, we have revised our coverage this year from just accidental coverage to providing workers' compensation coverage for the volunteer members of the fire departments and the rescue squads. Ms. Collins has been doing a tremendous amount of work with VACORP and getting everything lined up for this. One of their requirements is that the county pass a resolution that authorizes to include employees of the fire departments and rescue squads for the purposes of workers' compensation. So we need to adopt this resolution.
Okay, I entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 2017-16.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions, comments?
It's purely for the volunteers. Okay.
Any more comments, questions? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
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 And the chair votes aye. Mr. Byard, anything under other, under new business?
That's all that I have for tonight.
You have your agenda package, information package that you can go over at your own time. We're not going to adjourn the meeting tonight. Mr. Bauer, what time frame do you think we have the bid documents ready that we can meet and approve the bid documents for the Apex Center?
We've got a meeting tomorrow morning on it. And following that, there may be some wordsmithing that has to be done.
Have it done by Friday?
We could aim for Friday afternoon and try to have everything wrapped up by then.
Does any board member have any pressing appointment or engagement Friday afternoon?
What time Friday?
I'll leave it up to y'all.
Earlier the better.
7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9.
No, I'd like to, I mean, you talk in the afternoon, Mr. Barr?
Yeah, I would request afternoon.
2 o'clock?
2 o'clock, is that?
I won't be at some point. Is there scheduling it needs it to be on Friday?
I know time is of the essence is what we're looking at.
Does anybody have anything Monday?
Going the wrong way.
Going the wrong way. You think, well, you think we'll be done Thursday?
Thursday. You like to be a meeting, and I got a school board meeting tomorrow.
We have a conference call with retail coach at 3 o'clock on Thursday afternoon already, so I think that will take us from 3 to 4, 4:30, somewhere in there as it is.
Let's do it fast.
5 o'clock Thursday?
I can do that.
So is any other matter need to come before the board tonight before we recess?
I have one statement I'd like to make on behalf of the board. I appreciate the turnout of everybody supporting Mr. Vaught, and I truly believe that everything that was said was from the heart, and that Mr. Vaught made good decisions from the heart for the kids, and I hope we can take that into consideration. Thank you for being here.
Anybody else have any other comments or any other item needs to be brought before the board at this time? Hearing none, we're in recess until Thursday evening at 5 p.m.
You did it.
Yeah, I'll make it.